Hey, it's John. Welcome back to the show. And welcome to my show on my 10 favorite albums from 1996. This is part four of a six-part monthly series that I'm doing here on my channel, John the Music Nut, where I talk about my 10 favorite albums that are celebrating a significant anniversary in 2026. I will be putting this show out on April 1, 2026. This show is my 10 favorite albums of 96. On May 1, I will release my 10 favorite albums from 2006. And on June 1, I'll put out my 10 favorite albums from 2016. So let's get started. My number 10 is by a band that released three albums in 1996. This is the Brian Jonestown Massacre with their album Thank God for Mental Illness. This is as lo-fi as it gets. This album was made for the cost of $17.36, and that is listed on the album. What does this album sound like? Well, I said lo-fi. It's very old school country, acoustic, and some psychedelic elements here as well. A lot of great songs on here, like Stars, Those Memories, It Girl, Free and Easy. A lot of these songs are very, very short. Too Crazy to Care, Cause I Love Her. All great tracks here. And the songs on here, the first 12 songs, they come and go in about a 30-minute stretch. Sound of Confusion is the last track. That's 33 minutes. It's more like a sound collage. And there's a bunch of different songs as part of that, and a lot of it's conversational. I will say there is a track as part of Sound of Confusion called Fuck Me for Fucking You, which I think is the best song on the album, period. I think that song destroys. And that song is not acoustic. That's just very, very heavy and grinding and very cool. But this is my number 10. Thank God for Mental Illness by the Brian Jonestown Massacre. Number 9. This is this band's second album. Their first album didn't sell very well at all, but this one is their biggest seller in their catalog. And this is the Wallflowers with their album, Bringing Down the Horse. This album is best known for the very popular, enduring songs, Sixth Avenue Heartache and One Headlight. One Headlight was the biggest rock song of 1997. Like, this came out in 96, but it took a little while before it sold. By the time 97 rolled around, Sixth Avenue Heartache started getting played, and then One Headlight got played very, very heavy. Other great singles on here were Three Marlenas and The Difference. The Difference is a fantastic rocker on here. A lot of people think this album is top heavy, but there's a lot of other great tracks on here. God Don't Make Lonely Girls is very, very catchy, as is Laughing Out Loud. That's an excellent track. Bleeders is wonderful. You have more reflective songs like Josephine and Angel on My Bike that are very good. Very strong album. And I think every album in the Wallflowers catalog is very, very good, even though this is the only one that really sold heavy. This is my number 9. This is the Wallflowers with Bringing Down the Horse. My number 8 is a band that I have loved since their first album. Their first album was their biggest, but they have a wonderful catalog of music, and they just released an album in March of 2026. This is the Black Crowes with their fourth album, Three Snakes and One Charm. Now, their previous three albums were their most successful albums. The most successful, of course, is Shake Your Money Maker. I believe that's at 5 million copies in the United States alone sold right now. This album, you didn't really get any songs that were hitting top 40. You did have some great songs that were hitting album-oriented rock radio, like Rock 107, WEZX-FM, Scranton, Pennsylvania, the home of rock and roll. The songs that hit radio were Good Friday, which has a very cool gospel feel to it, and Blackberry also got played heavy on AOR. This album has a lot of R&B to it, a lot of 70s R&B with some of these great horn lines, like on Let Me Share the Ride, One Mirror Too Many. That has that same kind of feel. You also have some songs that are a little more jammy and have great riffs, great grooves, like Nebuchadnezzar and Better When You're Not Alone is a wonderful ballad. How Much for Your Wings is an acoustic track that works very well. Halfway to Everywhere, that's another one that has a very strong R&B, Sly and the Family Stone feel. Very, very strong album. Doesn't really get spoken enough about, in my opinion. This is the Black Crows with Three Snakes and One Charm, and that is my number 8. My number 7 is a band I've talked about extensively here on John the Music Nut and a lot of other channels that I'm privileged to be a part of, and I will continue to do so. This is King's X with their 6th album, Ear Candy. This would be their last album on Atlantic Records. And this is a very melodic album. After we had Dog Man, it was a lot more hard hitting, closer to grunge. This is more melodic. You actually have 3 songs sung here by Ty Tabor. The Train, Mississippi Moon, which is my favorite song on the album, which is wonderful, and Life Going By. In fact, when they put out the Best of King's X album, they only put those 3 Ty songs on that best of album. But Doug has a lot of great songs on here, like Thinking and Wondering What I'm Gonna Do, Looking for Love, which is really heavy. It's got a very Led Zeppelin feel to it. We got Lies in the Sand, which is a ballad that works very well. American Jesus, another ballad. That's a song that Jerry Gaskill, their drummer, sings. Picture is a wonderful track. Sometime is awesome. 67 is very, very cool. Very good album. Another one doesn't really get the love that the first 5 albums on Atlantic do. This is my number 7, King's X with Ear Candy. My number 6, this is this artist's 2nd album. Her first album was probably her biggest seller, had the biggest hits. But for my money, this is the much stronger album of the 2. And this is Sheryl Crow with her self-titled 2nd album. This album sold very well. It had hits like Every Day is a Winding Road and A Change Will Do You Good and If It Makes You Happy. They were all pretty popular. I believe If It Makes You Happy hit the top 10. But there's a lot of great deep cuts on here that could have been singles, like Sweet Rosalind. That song is very, very catchy. Maybe Angels is a wonderful opener. Redemption Day is another cool song that has more slow burn to it. Hard to Make a Stand is another strong track on here. Superstar is very good. A lot of great tracks on here. This flows very, very well. Very strong album. This is my number 6, Sheryl Crow with her self-titled 2nd album. My number 5 album, I bought this one when it came out because I was a very big fan of this artist's work, and I still am. This is Lou Reed with the album Set the Twilight Reeling. I love Lou Reed's work from New York right through the following album, Ecstasy. I think this is some of the best work he had ever done. This album has more of a reflective feel to it. There are some songs that really, really rock hard, particularly the opening track, Egg Cream. Hooky Wookie was the single. They probably thought this was the catchiest song, and maybe it is. I think it's also one of the weaker songs on the album, but there's some great tunes on here with a jazz feel, like NY City Man, New York City Man, which is very good. Proposition is very cool. That's a lot of songs on here are very, very personal, like Proposition. Finish Line was a song that Lou Reed he wrote that for Sterling Morrison, who was with him in the Velvet Underground because he had passed away earlier. I think he passed away the year before this album was released. You have Riptide, which is very cool. Venturer is very cool. Sex with Your Parents Part 2. That's a very lyrically scathing tune there with repetitive rhythm going on that. Set to Twilight Reeling, the title song, is wonderful. Very, very strong album. Another album I think that doesn't get enough love or recognition. This is Lou Reed with Set the Twilight Reeling, and that is my number 5. Now, number 4 is by a veteran blues band, maybe you could say blues rock band, and I think this was a true return to form for ZZ Top. This is Rhythmine. This is where they got back to making hard-hitting, dirty blues. The sequencers are gone. Thank God. They sounded great on Eliminator, but it got really tiring by the time Afterburner and Recycler was coming out. And Antenna, I think, had a little bit of that. But this is recorded very loud, and it sounds very, very live, too. This is wicked. The songs that hit radio were Bang Bang and What's Up With That. Those tracks kick. They smoke. Great guitar solos on here. The way it's recorded is wonderful. The title track is excellent. You have a lot of great catchy songs on here, like She's Just Killing Me and Hairdresser. Zipper Job's really cool. Black Fly, Pretty Head, Loaded. My favorite songs on here are the ones that hit radio, like Bang Bang and What's Up With That. She's Just Killing Me's near the top. And Vincent Price Blues is very, very cool too. This is my number 4, ZZ Top with Rhythmine. Number 3, now this band I did not know of until 1997 when my friend Joshua and I went to Horde Tour. And we didn't know this band until we saw them play, and they kicked our butts. This is Soul Coughing with their album Irresistible Bliss. Hard band to categorize. One of the cool bands from the 90s that, I mean, how would you describe them? Well, it was beat poetry with stand-up bass and drums and keyboards, bringing in these wonderful soundscapes. Very, very cool. The biggest song on here, and maybe the most popular song by Soul Coughing, is Super Bon Bon. Super Bon Bon was also played in an episode of Sopranos, so you may have heard it there. The whole album kicks, though. I love White Girl. That's more hard-hitting, and then we have songs that are more dreamy, like Soundtrack to Mary and Sleepless. Then you have songs like 4 Out of 5, which is very, very cool, and it's got a very rolling rhythm to it. Soft Serve is a softer track, which works very well. Idiot Kings is fantastic, as is Decimated and Paints. Great chorus on there. I know you're dumb as paint, that's very original. Very, very cool tune. Definitely worth checking out. This is my number 3, Soul Coughing with Irresistible Bliss. My number 2 is an album that not too many people know about. This was this band's second album, and I'm going to show this graphic pretty quick because there is a naked boy on this album cover, and you see his butt, but this is Screamin' Cheetah Wheelies with their album Magnolia. Magnolia is their second album. Their first album, they were getting the push from the record company. If the album didn't really sell, you were able to buy it used like the next year very easily. This album, I think I won this. I won this from Rock 107, as a matter of fact. This album is more of this heavy Southern rock, and it works like a charm. Every song in here seamlessly goes into the next one. The song to hit radio was Hello from Venus. You didn't hear this as much as you heard Ride the Tide from their self-titled debut. Everything on here is wonderful. Great songs on here like I Found Love, Gypsy Lullaby. There's a lot of great harmonica. Wonderful playing on here. A lot of passion. I think as this album goes on, it just gets stronger and stronger. The title track is a scorcher. Good Time is wonderful. Father Speaks is awesome. I Dreamed You Are is a wonderful ballad that ends the album. This was the quantum leap forward. This is Screamin' Cheetah Wheelies with Magnolia. My number 1 with a bullet is probably this band's first really big album. This is Tool with Einema. Now, I didn't get into this band until Lateralis was out. Thank you, Anne Marie, for getting me into this band. And I've said that some of the coolest people who've passed through my life, huge Tool fans. This album kicks. It still sounds fresh today. You can listen to Turbo, Sirius XM 41. You'll hear several of these tracks, like the opener, Stink Fist, which is very, very memorable and very, very driving and embracing. 46 and 2 is my favorite song on the album, my favorite song from 1996. What's really interesting about this band, they're very heavy, they're very progressive, fantastic musicians. The vocal hooks that are the songs of those songs are what really bring you back. There's great vocal hooks on Eulogy. Hooker with a Penis has a fantastic chorus on it. I mean, it's very scathing, but it's a very memorable chorus. Push It is very, very dramatic. It is a fantastic song. Einema, the title track, is wonderful. Again, we got great vocal hooks on that. Third Eye is fantastic. This is a long track that ends the album, but again, it is so aggressive and dramatic and reckless. It is awesome. So many cool tracks on here. H is very cool, as is Jimmy. And the little parts in between the songs are listed as songs, but they're more like segues. They all work very well in the scope of the album. My number one is Tool with their second album, their second LP, Einema. Now, I will go over my 10 favorites one more time. My number 10 is Brian Jonestown Massacre with Thank God for Mental Illness. My number 9 is Bringing Down the Horse by Wallflowers. My number 8 is Three Snakes and One Charm by the Black Crowes. My number 7 is Ear Candy by King's X. My number 6 is Sheryl Crow with her self-titled second album. My number 5 is Lou Reed with Set the Twilight Reeling. My number 4 is ZZ Top with Rhythmine. My number 3 is Soul Coughing with Irresistible Bliss. My number 2 is Screamin' Cheetah Wheelies with Magnolia. And my number 1 is Tool with Einema. So let me go into my honorable mentions right now. And before I go to the notepad, let me do my usual 3 This Is Close albums. This is close. Stone Temple Pilots, Tiny Music, Songs from the Vatican Gift Shop. Very eclectic album. Very little grunge to be found on here. This is a bit of a tour de force. It's kind of a short album for the 90s, which I love. A lot of great tracks on this album. This is close. REM, New Adventures in Hi-Fi. A lot of people say this is the last great REM album. I think there's an album that's even better that came out a little bit later. Check out my show with Daniel Bosch here on John the Music Nut, and you'll hear us talk about that album. It's part of the Latter Day Album series. It was the first show of the Latter Day Album series. And this is close. Matchbox 20, Yourself, or Someone Like You. A lot of people might say this is top heavy. And yes, the singles are the best songs, but the rest of the album is pretty good as well. So let's go into notepad and I can read you off the rest of my selections here. As honorable mentions, Dave Matthews Band with Crash. Very, very cool album. Screaming Trees with their album Dust. Soundgarden, Down on the Upside, an album I like a lot. It's way too long in my opinion. Jamiroquai, Traveling Without Moving. I got into them when the video for Virtual Insanity came out, and I still love that song. Porcupine Tree with their debut album Signify. This is a band I really got to get more into. This is the only album I have by Porcupine Tree. Lucinda Williams with Car Wheels on a Gravel Road. This is a very strong album. Rush with Test for Echo. This is a pretty good album. I wouldn't say it's one of their better albums. This is the first tour I saw Rush on, though, so it always has sentimental value for me. Steve Earle with I Feel All Right. Very, very cool album. Paula Cole with This Fire. That had Where Have All the Cowboys Gone on there, and I Don't Want to Wait. The rest of the album's pretty good, too. Cowboy Junkies with Lay It Down. Another very good album by them. Motorhead with Overnight Sensation. I will put a link at the end of the video. We did a show on the Contrarians doing a Dark Horse album, and we did Motorhead's Overnight Sensation, so you could check that out. Herbie Hancock with The New Standard. This is piano renditions of songs from that time that were really popular, and Herbie makes these songs his own. It's a very interesting album. Squirrel Nut Zippers with the album Hots. They're best known for the song Hell, one of the probably most interesting one-hit wonders of my lifetime. Very cool album. Beastie Boys. This was a instrumental album of jazzy instrumentals that were on their previous albums. The In Sound from the Way Out. I really dig that album. It's a 38-minute instrumental album that I think is really cool. You want to go live albums? I love Bare Naked Ladies Rock Spectacle. I think that album kicks ass. And I saw them a few years after that album came out with Joe Shuella. And when Stephen Page was in the band, they were fantastic. I mean, he had charisma out the wazoo. They're great band live. And last but certainly not least, an album that I didn't like back in the day, but I've gotten to appreciate more, Metallica with their album Load. And the deluxe edition that came out in 2025, it's definitely worth checking out. I think the remastering on that's very strong, and then the other two discs are very cool, and you get the full version of Outlaw Torn on there as well. So thank you for joining me. What do you think of these selections, and what are your 10 favorite albums from 1996? Please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me today. Do what you love, and I'll talk to you soon.